Hello, everyone. Welcome to our final session of the day for the Chief Growth Officer Summit. I'm Stephen Tejamulia, Chief Editor of The Growth Publisher, and I have the pleasure of introducing a distinguished speaker today, Jérémy Ravenel, the CEO of naas.ai. Jérémy is a visionary in the world of data-driven business transformation and in AI strategies. He's going to share his insights on harnessing an AI for social selling, transforming engagement into qualified leads. Welcome, Jérémy.
Thank you for welcoming me here, Steve. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. This is a great session. Throughout the whole day, guys, we've gone through, starting with Stacy, we went through amazing on like how to look at your whole marketing campaign, evaluate 2024 strategy. Lynette went into creating your strategy for 2024, or how to write a brief so you can align the whole organization behind it. Then we had Peter talk to us about ways to accelerate your business, ways to stick out amongst the crowd, focus your company. And then Tom Ryan did a deep dive into LinkedIn and mastering social selling. With Jérémy today, we're going to hear, talking about visionary, ahead of the curve, early adopter. He's built technology I think is going to go big in many ways for companies that are trying to take various data sources using AI to then create business results. He's seen the implementation of it in social selling. We're going to see a demo of that. He's going to give us explanation of what's next for us with AI. So we'll dive in, we'll get started. We're going to pick his brain on AI in the beginning, and then we're going to turn the session over to him for a demo and presentation. So Jérémy, to kick things off, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and what led you to found naas.ai?
Yeah, sure. So I often try to explain my journey at the very beginning of like the origin story. So when I was a child growing up in Brittany, western part of France, I was always this child questioning everything, never wanted to put anything into boxes. I was always feeling like, why is this connected to this other thing and this other thing? So I was like really questioning the whole education that I received. And this led me to be very curious about different aspects of things. So business and tech essentially, but I also was big like in music and art, and I always loved to connect all the stuff together. And when I started my higher education, it was 2009, and it was the financial crisis. I went very deep into finance and treasury, and I discovered a world where all the data flows were connected to each other. So in a way, I felt a bit more interesting about this subject of treasury management, because it's effectively connecting every flow of the business, every department, from HR to engineering to accounting to selling. Everything ends up being a cash flow at the end of the day. So that was my origin story. Like I started in finance. I got a background in a master in finance, specialized in treasury and working capital. And when I started like working for corporate world, I've been the data mercenary of C-level, like the guy behind the queries that the C-level were asking that were impossible to make. I was the guy taking the shot and trying to figure out how to crunch data, extract different sources, try to create analysis that were not visible to the standard reports that were done in a very like, I would say, regulatory or internal reporting. So this mindset of being able to just go into different data sources, crunch them in Excel, create PowerPoint presentation was obviously a bit tedious, because Excel is a good tool, but to a certain extent, when you want to automate, when you want to go deeper, when you want to apply algorithm, you are very short. And so I quickly shifted my skill set to data science and Python. And this is where I discovered the world of Jupyter Notebooks, the number one document to write scripts and use data science for automation, for basically process automation, data automation. So fast forward this experience in two companies software development and oil and gas across a period of time of 4 to 5 years, led me to create my consulting business that was all about automating business workflows and creating data analysis for financial departments. Now, this consulting business brought interesting money to reinvest into product. And that's what NAS is about right now. Like, I've reinvested part of the consulting that I got and insights that I gathered from different clients to create this platform, naas.ai, that is about creating data products for business workflow automation and decision making on very, very specific verticals. So I'm applying data science that is normally used for very broad kind of discipline to very specific support function workflows and sales. So we are working on content, marketing, sales, operation, finance, and open data. Essentially, we have 6 main areas of work. And that's where we are at right now. Like, NAS is literally this platform where you connect different departments together, where you break the silos, where you connect every department together to either generate more revenue or optimize your costs.
No, I mean, you've been prepared for this, and as people look at the demo, they're going to be able to see what you're trying to do with connecting the different data sources to make a big business impact. Going into social selling, you're very passionate about that, and you've been working on those data sources around social. What challenges do businesses typically face in social selling and lead generation, and how does AI address these challenges?
I mean, right now, only a few people gets it. Like, I wish in 2024 more people would get how crazy the opportunity of creating content online is. Like, I remember back in the day when my father and family members were trying to do anything related to business, they were having to pay a fee to get in the newspaper with that little space in the newspaper where eventually people would be able to see the ad and take the phone and call and figure out what the business was doing. So you had to pay to create awareness, to be visible, to have attention. You had to pay to do that, right? So most of the ads, like the way marketing was done, was around that area and billboards and obviously more stuff than this. But it's an image that is still in my head because I've seen that at the beginning of my young life, right? So now social media is bringing something crazy to me, which is it's all free. Like, we can do that for free now, and content and attention is a currency for business development. And I think that a lot of people underestimate this power of constantly being able to create content across different social media platforms that create awareness, basically, on your business. Either through pushing on the problem, like explaining what the problem is about, and trying to create expertise and to show like a certain level of expertise on a certain domain, or into solution like capabilities. But what I see as the big trend in social selling right now is like the buying journey of someone in the corporate world that is looking for a solution or looking for expertise is something that you're not as a sales guy or marketing people, you cannot act on it. You can only be in the journey of that buyer and try to be as much frequently in the journey of that buyer so it can twist his mind to, like, I have a problem to fix, and through your content, get educated toward the solution that eventually can be yours if you have been good at educating people on social media about your problem. So my vision is really like about how do you create content that educate your audience or your target audience, and like be as much frequently in the buying journey of your potential customers so that they think about you any time that they will have the problem arise again. Because the buying journey is also something where they are looking for a solution, but the problem is not yet there. There's been discussion inside the business that we need to invest in AI, but we don't know exactly how and when. So I'm following influencers, people that have knowledge, and probably at some point I will be ready to put a budget and figure out who I'm going to give the money to. So I think that the whole like buying journey and being in that flow is very critical. And if you don't make content, you're simply out of the picture. So it's, for me, this is why I wish that more business would get it, because I think that if you don't do it, you will die. And that might be extreme, but if you think about it, like people who have not caught up on some waves like this would, in the past, this had happened a lot of time, like that business completely vanished because they didn't catch the wave at the right time. So I really wish that more people would understand how this motion is working and probably build their own uniqueness and your own expertise on social media so that it can be visible and be like a reference point for potential buyers on the solution that they can provide.
Yeah, that's great. And if you can explain that process a little bit in detail of transforming social media content interactions and user data into actionable insights and leads. Can you give us detail? How does that work? How do you see that working with AI?
So right now it's still pretty contained and pretty siloed, which is my main fight, right, to break the silos. So the thing is, like right now, you do content. You're a CEO, or you're a marketer or a content creator. You will do content, and essentially your silo would be: I am doing creatives, I am pushing podcasts, I'm educating through newsletter, blog posts, etc. And basically, I would see what works and what doesn't. And if something works, I would double down on it and try to do this. So there will be a silo of content creation. Another one would be marketing, obviously trying to figure out the leads and people who are interested, signing up on the website. Today, sign-ups on the website is the most like thing that we use. There is forms, you put the form and we see if those leads become qualified leads and and then eventually it becomes sales qualified leads. So my main focus right now when it comes to like identifying what are your different steps and how everything works with AI is to be very opinionated on the way you see this like link between the different things. It's not anymore marketing here and sales there. It's revenue. And how do you get revenue? So content will be here to create attention on different topics. Marketing or growth marketing, which is like what we are mostly interested in, is about moving from attention on certain topics to who is liking. So if you do a content, who likes your content? And when you have this information on the topic, on the interest and the person, you will have a list of profiles, name, surname, and occupation. Potentially, if you scroll LinkedIn, this is what you see. So how do we get that data and extract the key information that are, what is the seniority level? Is the guy like a staff engineer? Is the experience is a VP? Where does he work? In which department? These things, we can apply AI to it. Similarly, for the content, we can apply AI to it to understand if the content works well or not. So extraction of key textual information from the different data that we can collect over the different stuff that we use, the different media, can enable us to create enriched information on the audience. And when you have mapped this audience, you need to feed your CRM. So there is automation that comes into the play. So how do I get those marketing qualified leads? So people who have answered to my content, who have put a comment, put a like, how do those marketing qualified leads become sales qualified leads? Well, they will over time react to my content often. So they will come one time, two times, comment one time, comment another time. So you will create a signal. And at this moment of time, the signal will be, he's reaching that score. He has already liked 5 content on the same topic across different creative and content that we have done, how do we create personalized messaging at the end of the road, saying, hey, I saw that you liked my content. It's been a lot, like we have seen that you liked this kind of content across the past months. We didn't have a conversation. Should we talk? There you create the trigger.
Yes, so it's you're collecting the content, the likes, the people who liked it and view it. You're bringing that data together, putting it in a CRM, and then explain to me how ChatGPT is enhancing that communication.
I mean, ChatGPT is when you, at different level, analyze your content, know what's good, what's not, what's the recommendation to create that better. One. Second, take the profile information, extract the company, the department from the description of the occupation, assess the seniority. Then, once you have that information and you monitor over time the interactions, you can create personalized sales messages. And the personalized sales messages is like looking at different fields in the table and look at all the interactions and eventually create very, very personalized messaging.
Yes. And so capturing that data, putting it into one, that's what we're going to see later today. That's great. I'm super looking forward to that. I don't know of any marketing company capturing all that social data, taking the content, merging it in, and doing AI today. I think you're totally in the forefront of where we're going with this.
Yeah.
So this is a big effort.
There is a lot of silos right now. That's what you need to understand. So sticking stuff together is the key in the Web3. Like this new era of decentralized, interconnected entities that we need to manipulate to create competitive advantage. I really believe that right now the SaaS era, the Web 2.0 era, was all about different silos, different verticals. But now you can see solutions like ChatGPT, they take the whole horizontal field and they don't have the verticals yet, but it's going to come. So definitely, like solutions like us there is going to be much more solutions than us doing that sort of challenge, addressing those challenges in the future for sure.
So with SaaS and Web 2.0, I think the social outreach, the content, all done separately. Web 3.0 is coming together, right? That's where you're positioning NAS and everything is coming together. Companies now are going to have more insights to make better decisions that will lead into higher sales.
There's an interesting concept, Steve, that we might want to talk about, which is like called the Web3 is basically based out of a concept called the semantic web. And this, I don't know if anybody has heard about it, but basically this idea of having interconnected entity, decentralized and interconnected for like better intelligence, basically on what's going on. And before we didn't have the technology to do it. Now we have it.
Yep. So, and is that where NASA's positioned himself as a ability for us, a repository to take that social data, take the content data, take other data sources, bring it together, and then share that data with systems that need it for salespeople to execute.
Yes, definitely.
Now, a question I have there is around privacy, like the semantic web, Web 3.0. How does NAS ensure data privacy, security when dealing with sensitive customer information? We're dealing with LinkedIn terms of service. What is your answer to that?
Yeah, so there is different layers, different levels of stuff you need to understand in this process. So if you would have done it before, you would have done it manually. Like if you don't have the technology, you look at people who like your post, you can look at the list of people who like your post, you can extract this list manually, not manually. All the things that we do is something that you would do anyway manually if you would have to like go further into the analysis of your content. So we are not advocating for scrolling people's profile intensively. It's you do content and you want to leverage and to extract the juice of what you do. You need to have some kind of like processes to do that. So there is like great areas, let's say, in solutions like that are already existing, pulling data from LinkedIn. And essentially, this is going to, the solution, the SaaS business that are doing it already, we use the same stuff. But we are very cautious on the data that a client is collecting and how we don't touch that data at all. We are basically a processing engine. So you need to understand we just provide the capability. The storage is yours. The whole like data that you collect is yours. We are never going to touch anything here. We are a platform enabling you to process the data and automate the workflow that you would have done otherwise manually through a VA, a virtual assistant, I don't know where, or through an intern, or through anything that if you want to stitch this part together, you would have to do that sort of stuff. So that's mostly like how we position ourselves. We are not storing the data. We let you use the capabilities that we have, the code that we have under the platform to process, store it, and basically be responsible for what you do. That's the key. And other tools in the past have been using that approach to be like only be the query engine, not the storage. That's what we believe in as well.
So if you look at companies, and that's a great answer. So companies, they can use NAS for different ways. So we're just talking about social right now. We mentioned two data sets, social data, content, bring it together, see what people like. AI can write content for it. What other ways in other content repositories can NAS also integrate into this mix to help companies make better decisions, generate more leads, generate more growth?
There is different stuff. So there is, as I told you, there's three. So we talk about social selling. So what you're saying is like, how do we extend outside of social selling? That's the question, right?
Yeah. What are the possibilities to a company using NAS, right? Where you're talking about Web 3.0, semantic web. What are other things that they can pull together to enhance this model?
Yeah. So that's coming down to our key data product called ABI, Artificial Business Intelligence. So this solution is a combined data product, we call it, that has content, marketing, sales, operations, finance, and open data built in as modules inside the same platform. So you can answer questions about the whole business. So you can go, tell me what's going on in I don't know which like business area. That would be the open data engine that will activate. This open data engine can go through the web, find trends, inform the content strategy that will create like new content possibilities, then move to like analyzing the interaction and so on. So everything will be interconnected in a way that you will support the full cycle of your business from awareness to cash. I didn't talk about ops and finance, but basically when you generate interest and you have a lead, you want to do calls and meetings with that lead. How are you going to nurture your CRM? Today is not well done. You want to take the sales call, have a specific prompt that will analyze the transcript, probably map it to sales techniques, medic, like metric, economic buyer, decision maker. How do you map those fields automatically through analyzing your transcript back to the sales CRM, and then analyze the next course of actions for closing? Because it doesn't stop at the generating leads level. It needs to go through how do we get to the close. You're saying more revenue, more growth. The growth is not coming from the number of leads you get. It's coming from the cash you put in the bank. So the whole concept of ABI is how do we help businesses go through the full cycle from content to marketing to sales, but also to operation, task generation, finance, transaction automated, and open data monitoring to continuously feed the system with new ideas, with new touch points that you can have with your sales and client. How do you activate that continuously? Like as I said, from awareness to cash. So we're very much into like combining this whole thing together, and the way you can apply this to different technologies, different topics, different like setups. It's a very flexible solution. It's based out of an open source repository, so you can invent your own workflows, you can create your own customization. There is literally no limit to how much you can customize this. So it's really open.
So I think this is a great time to shift over to demo so you could show people. I think you've non-visually, I think we probably got people excited, but now like I think it's the show and tell time. So I'm going to turn the time over to you to show and tell
Yeah.
a little bit about what you're talking about, because there is a lot there that we need to uncover.
Yeah, sure. So should I share my screen?
Yes.
Great. Is it visible now?
It's great now. Yep, I see it.
Yes. So I'm taking this content as an example, but it's just because I shared this idea with you guys. So you see the language model, the LLM, the OpenAI and ChatGPT is located here. You have a knowledge graph combining different data pods together. When you put a prompt, then it will just create the combination of words and predict the next word and create this chain of text that makes sense. That's the LLM own ability to work for you with only a prompt. Imagine if you map it through your own knowledge graph. You create what I call the yin-yang of like AI, where this LLM plus your knowledge graph create a very intelligent AI system that talks and communicate through the same mechanism. So this is a bit technical, but essentially the idea is like you need to talk to a large language model or to a chat GPT the same way that it is constructed in the backend. So for example, this one has like 400 likes, 34 impressions. People are liking it. I have 74 comments. Like, how do I leverage that? Basically, right now, I cannot. But through the ABI system, what I have is that my account on LinkedIn is connected to my AI assistant. This Aya is an AI assistant. It's called AI assistant because in the future of work, we will all have our own AI assistant. So this AI assistant is connected to our tools and it can do actions like posting content. This content is here. It will be connected to different other steps down the line through a content engine. The content engine is extracting interactions. It will extract then contacts and monitor contacts over time to the sales. So let me go into like the different data sets that we have behind it. So this is just for demo purpose. So I'm not exactly mapping the same stuff, but here is my list of content. I have me as an entity, scenario, like the week that I am on, the title, the length, the keywords, the views. I have everything right here stored properly in this data node in this table. The interaction is going to be about how do I get people score? How do I give them score on each and every interaction that they do? So one like is 1 point, a comment is 3 points, and I'll be able to know what are the last content created, etc. That's the second data point. Then I want to group all those interactions through time to create a growth analysis and a contact list. So this is what's coming next. I'm grouping it by timing. I know the cohort, and if it's a new cohort, if it's a week, like the last week cohort, and then I have the total score by person that will arise from the grouping of the different interactions. At the end of the day, I will have a list of notes that everything that this person has done with me will be the moment where I am going to map to his organization, enrich his organization, and get a more deep analysis of his occupation. I was talking to you guys about priority, seniority, department, interaction, status, sales qualified leads. It becomes a sales qualified leads when it reaches a certain level of interaction, and then it's creating deals. And in the deal section, I would have like messaging options and organization that will be framed out in a certain way. So I know that I can say, hey Jaser, this is the friend introduction to my profile, and everything will be prepared for the sales guy to really go on and ask the question. So this is how all those things are mapped together. The different data models that are chained together will enable us to create that flow and map this whole knowledge base. Now you're telling me like, hey, okay, that's great, but this is just a spreadsheet. How do we actually leverage that to the fullest? Well, when you are in that setting, you actually want to have a new an update, a regular update. So there will be an email sent to you daily or weekly that will get you to a call to action, an email, like basically showing you a graph and saying, hey, you can interact with that graph more deeply. And we have built this chat GPT like interface that is essentially going to help you like ask question, what content did best? And you can start exploring the different aspects of this. And the beauty of the live demo is like this thing is not always perfect, but you get the idea. You will have the ability to go through the whole like process and analyze your data across different verticals, across different agents, let's say. So content agent, growth agent, sales agent, they will have their own way. So for the sales, for example, I will be able to have one pipeline forecast missing objective. I will have like an analysis of my pipeline. For the growth, I will be able to deep dive into who is the person that I should contact first, like asking more questions about it. For the content, I will be able to analyze the content over time and so on. So the ability for you to leverage this data inside an interface similar to ChatGPT and to feed that data in will give you all the flexibility you don't have through dashboards to ask questions, find the right approach, craft sales messaging, craft new content based out of the data you have already collected. So that's the key ideas. And if you want, I can explain a bit more about the technical stuff and how this thing is set up, but I think that mostly the key ideas are here. Like you have...
No, I think that's... Go ahead. I was going to summarize it, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think that the key idea is there. Like you need to create a knowledge graph, a knowledge of that are tying your departments together, and you tie them through data. You model the data. When you have this, you can leverage and feed those data sets into a ChatGPT interface and then ask and leverage the reasoning capability of an AI model to create new outputs that are much more closer to your content. And that's the key. Like you will have a highly personalized version of you. It will take the same tone of voice. It will learn about like the background of your company, and that will help you be just more you. Because the most of the problem right now is like most of the ChatGPT stuff doesn't sound like you. So how do you take advantage of your own data fed into the system so it can create a more personalized version of your approach?
Yes, so just to restate for the audience, you've taken the data and social and a whole bunch of other systems in that picture you drew. You bring it together into a database that has a similar structure for all this data that can allow you to then put a ChatGPT like interface on top of it, where you can ask specific questions of, I'm going to write an email to John at this company, and can you help me write it? And then it'll take data from all those sources plus ChatGPT and write a personalized response to them.
Yeah.
Or I want to write a report on this topic, and it could help you write that report based on the data that's yours from your company in that system, correct?
Yes, you got it.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's huge for marketers to see, and your proof of concept, I would say, is with social, where you were able to say, oh, let me take LinkedIn data from my post, every reply to it, all of their interactions with me, bring it into my system. Let me bring together what their customer profile is, and let me help salespeople write queries, email
Personalized.
messages, reports
Yeah.
from that. That is big. How long does it take for a company to do? I mean, this is early phases, but how much does it cost? How long does it take for them to start proof of concepting this in their organization?
Yeah. Well, funny question is like, I would advise to contact me to get like the full details of like what we can do. But
Yeah.
essentially, you need to think of it this way: there is a platform cost. You have compute. You need to have API calls to OpenAI. You need to have different like compute capabilities for scheduling and automation, for creating those graphs, triggering those like analysis. So there is compute power. So we have this platform. We buy the compute power from AWS and all those guys. We put our margin on top. We sell the platform through credit-based system. So every action will be a credit. So you have auditability of every action that you've done and the cost of every action. So you know how much it costs to enrich a content, how much it costs to anything will be logged into like a kind of a bank account. You know my background in finance. This is it. Like I've created this kind of bank account that you can have with all the actions. Now that's the platform cost, and you buy a bucket of credits. On top of this, you need to have personalization, right? So we have the framework, this ABI framework, but you want this to be personalized. This is not SaaS business anymore. Like that's the main idea. Like the SaaS are very verticalized, very easy to like rinse and repeat. The cost is quite low for maintaining that stuff. This kind of system is another deal. So you need to have continuous involvement and iteration and validation of that quality of the data. So it's an investment-centric approach. It's not anymore like how much does it cost and I'm paying the fee per seat and that's it. You need to have an investment mindset. So am I able to invest 2K per month? We can do with that. 5K, better. We can just customize better. 8, better again. Like this level of investment, like gradually investing into how much you can put into your machine to get qualified leads on a very like automated way is this approach that everyone needs to get, and I would encourage anyone to take, because platform plus continuous improvement plus weekly meetings with the team that can manage this kind of AI system and help you build better outputs is in my way the way to do the stuff properly. Because if you just buy a SaaS for this, you will end up not having something that is truly personalized and crafted to your needs.
I like that a lot. This is you're early on. You're building this framework. It's a lot of investment to build it out. I think there's a big uptake for this. A lot to be learned. A lot to be seen. It took me a couple times to get it, but I think I'm getting it pretty well. And for those listening, I think, as if you're an early adopter, want to experiment, get results ahead of time, what's ahead of the curve with AI, Jérémy is the one to speak to. What kind of session does it look like, Jérémy? When what kind of session do you offer as they reach out to you for the first time?
Good question.
What does that look like from they may be like, this is super cool. I mean, you're way ahead of me, but like, what does my first session look like when we meet together?
Great, good question. So it's following a very specific pattern that we have designed, a very specific way of approaching stuff. So it's all about AI strategy and data strategy right here. So you need to understand if you want to focus on revenue generation or cost optimization. There's two main ideas in the AI strategy where you want to focus on. Right now, I would advise to go revenue generation because AI can literally like make you do 10x of what you're doing just because you have continuous flow of sales qualified leads coming and focus on closing the deal. So for me, the main aspect of this is opportunity discovery, mapping your AI strategy, main items, main objective, but then tapping into your workflows. So opportunity discovery is made to understand your workflows. If you're selling already, why do you sell? How is it? Like how your workflow, how is your motion going? Like, oh, we do sales outreach, cold outreach, or we do reference, or we do reference. Oh, you do reference call. If you do reference calls, clients can talk about you. If clients can talk about you, they can talk about your problem. If they can talk about your problem, you can have the transcript, record the meetings, have those transcripts turn into content, and start publishing content on social media. So you see, just by framing how your workflow and how you operate right now, I can just already advise you in a creative way where to put your efforts on. Like get your testimonials into video, turn them into content, talk about the problem, and then start this flywheel of building content. The main thing is for me, it starts with building a content strategy, an AI strategy that will come to a content strategy that will educate people about the problem space you're working on, and then eventually bring the solution down the line. So we'll always reason around that, and then we will figure out what tools are you using, and how do we map those tools to the master data table that I shared with you, where you organize content a certain way, contact a certain way, everything that I've went through around this data model that I shared. It's about how do we map the current tools that you're using to that. Once we have that framed, then it's about how do we get going. So we can start with basic implementation, and then after the opportunity discovery call, it's all about me providing you a scope of work where we can start collaborating.
Love it. I think this is great. I'm glad you're willing to do that with the audience. I hope a lot of people get a chance to give their feedback and try out naas.ai. Any last parting words you want to say to the audience before we end here?
No, it's like I'm on LinkedIn. Reach out. Let's talk.
That's great. I appreciate Jérémy coming in. We talked throughout the day, early adopters, what could happen with AI, what does the future hold for us? And I think from an innovator, bringing things together, data, process, tools, AI, personalization, results-driven. You're tackling all of those together, Jérémy, and we appreciate you for doing that and for pioneering that work. So we wish you that you can get that, get some big wins, and that some people listening will be able to do that as well, help you there. So thank you for participating.
Thank you for inviting me.
Go ahead. Oh, it's privilege for the audience listening today, listening throughout the whole event, listening as we post this out, participating in our groups. Thank you guys. Thank you very much. You can interact with Jérémy through our group as well. And we close the Chief Growth Officer Summit, and next week we have our CTO Summit. So appreciate everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.